Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Jim Kiger, First Sergeant, United States Air Force, retired. I am not here to tell you my story today. The story that I'm going to tell you is about one man and one place here in this town in Mooresville, North Carolina. But to get to that, I'm going to have to set it up just a little bit. I joined the Air Force in 1971 and spent 24 years on active duty. When I left active duty in 1995, I became a JROTC instructor in Wilkes County, North Carolina. It was probably the most difficult transition that I ever made in my life. Going from active duty to civilian, I was lost. The thing that kind of kept it a little bit together for me is that I was in a uniform for 10 more years. So after 34 years of wearing a uniform, my wife and I wound up coming down to Mooresville. That was the first time in my life that I ever followed my wife anywhere. About a month or so after we got here, I was told about a place called Richard's Coffee Shop. And I was told by a couple of guys that I had met here that it was one of the most amazing places on the face of the earth. All right, I'm the kind of guy that has to see this to believe it. So I go down Main Street one Thursday, and this is probably a good 12 years ago now, and I walk into Richard's. And standing in front of me is Richard Warren. Kind of a small guy, very unassuming, glasses, and I said, wow, what is this guy all about? I'll come to find out that Richard was a chopper pilot in Vietnam, a true hero, and a lover of everything that is dear and near to us. This guy opened me with welcome arms, said, welcome home, brother, glad to have you here. And he proceeded to tell me what the coffee shop was all about. There was memorabilia all over the wall, military memorabilia all over the wall, comfortable couches to sit in, and he didn't actually make too bad of a cup of coffee. So we sat there and I had conversations with about 5 or 6 guys, and the next Thursday I was back, and the Thursday after that, and the Thursday after that, and this went on for months. And the next thing I know, I'm hooked into what the coffee shop is all about. Being with veterans, sharing time with veterans, listening to the problems that they have, and trying to help each other out. That is what Richard's Coffee Shop was all about. Well, one of the things that Richard wanted to do is he wanted to establish a different kind of a place. He wanted a place where veterans could go forever. And to do that, it needed to be a nonprofit. A number of guys got together and they started working on that for him. And sadly, to us, he passed away before he saw that dream come true. We lost one heck of a veteran when Richard passed away. However, his legacy lives on. We had 2 different moves. We moved the shop twice, all on Main Street, and now we're on a permanent location directly across from his original shop. And the place is amazing. We've had over 15,000 veterans come through the doors of Richard's Coffee Shop in the last years. And every one of them says the exact same thing. You guys have something that is very, very, very special, and we do. It is a place where we can go, and no matter what the worries of the world are, we can walk into those halls of that place, and we can let it all go. It is an amazing place of healing. I have seen guys literally leave their PTSD at the door, and the therapy there was probably better than anything that they have ever received anywhere. It's a national treasure. This is a one-of-a-kind place in the United States of America. So when you see this video, I'm going to ask you to do one thing. Look up Richard's Coffee Shop at Welcome Home Veterans, find out where we're at, and if you make it over here to North Carolina, please come through the door. Yesterday, we said hello to 7 Coast Guard captains. Today, a Rear Admiral. But there is no rank in that shop. It doesn't make any difference whether you're enlisted, whether you're an officer, whether you're Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard, Marine Corps or Coast Guard. You are always welcome here. You will find a place of true solitude and true healing, where all the veterans will welcome you and make you feel like you are part of something special because you were. I'm going to tell you a quick story about one man. Many years ago, I met John. And I'm not even sure I can make it through this story today. But John was one of the most amazing human beings that I have ever met. And in his shop, he had a plaque. And on the plaque, there was a spark plug, a bullet, and a Purple Heart. Now, John served in World War II on the USS California. He was a very young man. And at a very young age, he wound up getting severely injured after a kamikaze aircraft slammed into the USS California, killing about 40 of his fellow sailors, but it blew John completely out of the turret that he was in and up onto another deck. He was burned over 75% of his body. He had horrible, horrible injuries, not to mention the fact that he had a really severe head injury. He laid up on that deck for hours and hours and hours until somebody finally saw him move and they transferred him to a hospital ship, where he was treated for a wound where they took a spark plug out of the Mitsubishi engine from that kamikaze out of his head and it was embedded into the lower part of his brain. He survived all of those injuries, and 2 years later, he goes to work for Ma Bell as a pole climber. Now he's up on top of a pole one day, and all of a sudden his arm freezes up and he cannot move. So he finally gets down off of the pole and he sees a doctor that was a former flight surgeon, and they go in and they cut a piece of .50 caliber bullet that was embedded in his arm. The bullet, the spark plug, and his Purple Heart. But the only reason we got to know that story was some years later, he came out and visited Sharon and I convinced him to go with me to breakfast. And he said, well, where are we going to go? I said, you don't have to worry about it. This is someplace really cool. And then we go into the coffee shop, and he was mad as blazes at me. He was a guy who was very private, did not like to talk to other veterans, and did not want to share his experiences. But there was somebody working there who took him into the back and sat down and got him to tell his whole story for the very first time. Without Richard's coffee shop, my father-in-law would have never told his story. John was one of the greatest guys that I've ever known, and I'm proud to have known him. Unfortunately, we lost him some years back, but you know what? Without Richards, and without Welcome Home Veterans, that story never would have been able to be told. Look, come over to Richards. Come to Welcome Home Veterans. I promise you one thing. I promise you that you'll enjoy it, and you will never forget your visit. God bless.